And good day, pre-algebra. We are continuing, even though we didn't record yesterday's lesson, we are continuing inverse proportions. And let's just kind of review everything we talked about yesterday. First of all, what is an inverse proportion? How does it differ from other proportions? You people want the waffle fry. Nolan!
It's one value increases and the other value decreases.
Yeah. So a direct proportion, both values are either going up or both values are going down. Okay. A partitive proportion, it divides a whole into parts proportionally, think ratios. Okay. And an inverse proportion, as one value increases, the other value decreases. Okay, as one value increases, the other value decreases. Which is why kind of our gut reaction when we read something such as this: 9 artists design a project in 6 hours. How many hours will it take 12 artists to do the same work? Our gut reaction is to set up something similar to this. 9 artists in 6 hours equals 12 artists in how many hours, right? But when we solved this yesterday, what did we come up with? What was our value for, and I told you not to write this down, so if you did, good, but 8 hours, which we then said didn't make any sense, right? Because if it takes 6 hours for 9 people to do a project, and then you get more people to help you, it's not going to take longer. It doesn't make any sense, right? It's going to take less time. So then we started talking about more and less and unit A and unit B, and we came up with 2 ways to set up an inverse proportion. And it has to do with what your units are, and then more and less, okay? So we used the units of A and B, and it doesn't matter what A and B are, right? In our sample question, it's artists and hours. In the first one here, it's bricklayers and days, right? It doesn't matter what those units are, just you've got 2 things. And one way we could set this up was more of A over, did I do more of B?
Yeah.
No, okay, I'll just keep things consistent here. More of B equals less of A over less of B. And why did we say this works? What do we notice about this proportion? Lily?
They're like horizontal and vertical.
Right. Our words more and less are aligned vertically, right? More over more, less over less. Our units, A and B, are aligned horizontally. A and A, B and B. What did I say? Really, any way is fine to set this up as long as you don't do what? As long as you don't do what?
As long as it's not diagonal.
Yeah, what are you going to do with the waffle fry when you get
No,
a little bit worried?
No.
A little bit worried. Yes. Right? As long as they're not lined up diagonally. So then the second way that we set this up, we said more of A over less of A equals more of B over less of B, right? We kind of switched around what was aligned. Hey, welcome. But it's still aligned, right? Our more and more are now aligned horizontally. Our less and less are now aligned horizontally. And this time our units are aligned vertically and vertically. Okay? So as long as you match up the more and the less and the A and the B, you're going to be fine as far as aligning it vertically and horizontally. And that's pretty much where we left off, right? So questions on any of that? Okay, so let's solve our sample problem here using both of these methods. So let's have our A be artists, because it starts with A, just makes more sense. And our B will be hours, right? So the 2 units that we're using, our A and B, are artists and hours. So now we look at what we know. We've got 9 artists here and 12 artists here. Which ones are more and which ones are less? And just to catch you up, because you came in the room late, the person who raises their hand most during today's class, you're all caught up. Okay? Which is more and which is less for our artists here? 9 and 12. Which is more, which is less? Zoe. Yes. Okay? So this will be our more, and this will be our less. Right? So our A represents artists. We've assigned that unit, and we know which is more and which is less. So let's just, well, we'll use our first one here. More of A. So 12 artists, right? And we don't know what more of B is yet there. Less of A, that's 9 artists over less of B. Any questions how I assign those values, how I set that first part up? Okay. Our first step was say, what are we talking about here? We're talking about artists and hours. Those are our two units. Those are our A and our B. Artists, hours. Okay. So then if I'm talking about my A value, which we've assigned to be artists, one's got to be more and one's got to be less. I know I've got 9 artists that start, and then a total of 12 end up working on the project. 9 is less than 12, which makes 9 are less and 12 are more. That's how we get 12 artists, right? More of A, 12 artists, equals less of A, 9 artists. Good? Okay? So now our B value, our second value, is hours. And this one is a little bit trickier because this is where our variable comes in, right? How many hours? But we already know that if more people are helping, this value should be less than the original, right? If 9 artists can do it in 6 hours, it'll take less time for 12 people to do it. Yeah.
So how many hours would go into the 9? And then, or wait, no, the other way around. Or no,
you're right.
Still there. And
Yeah.
then the 6 would go under.
Right. So 6 is more than however long it's going to take. Okay. So our more of hours goes under here. That's 6 hours. Right? And then what we're solving for, we don't know how many hours. We know it's going to be less. Okay. Now, we've got our proportions set up. How do we solve this? Nolan.
6 times 9 divided by 12.
Cross products, right? Cross products, my old friend, right? The rule of 3, essentially. Multiply the 2 that are diagonal. 9 and 6 is 54. And then divide that by that third one there. Okay? And 54 divided by 12 is, Josie? Sorry? 4.5. So it'll take 4.5 hours for 12 artists to do the job. And inverse proportions, they require more thought than direct proportions because you have to think about the more and the less. What are my 2 units? What's my A? What's my B? Where's the more? Where's the less? Okay, let's do it again with this second one here. Again, we start with more of A, which we said is the 12, right? A we said is our artist, more would be 12. So our numerator is still 12A, but now in this time we're putting the 9 artists right beneath it because we're still lining up our A's here, right? 12 artists over 9 artists, right? And that's equal to more of B over less of B. We already said our more is the 6 hours there. So 6 hours over 4 hours. Well, hold on. Actually, we don't know that yet. Sorry. Why did I say 4? I don't know where 4 came from. Over how many hours? Okay. And what are we going to do here to solve this? Hey.
Do 6 times 9 and divide divided by 12.
Yeah, the reason why these two methods for setting up the proportions work is because the multiplication that we do is the same. 6 times 9 divide by 12. The only difference between these two proportions, notice our 12 in the same spot. Our variable, what we're solving for, in the same spot. Really, all we've done is we've switched our 9 and our 6. But because we switched them diagonally, we still end up multiplying 9 and 6 together. 6 times 9 is the same thing as 9 times 6, 54. And we're dividing by 12, and we're going to get 4.5. Okay? So the reason why this works is because when you go to cross products, the math is the same. The setup is different, but the math is the same. How are we doing?
Good.
Okay? All right. We're going to save the third method for later because I don't want to overload the brains. Okay? But let's look at the brick layers and the days here. Okay, everyone good with these notes? Can we scroll down now? Brick layers. Brick layers. All right. 4 brick layers build a wall in 5 days. How many days will it take 10 brick layers to build the same wall? First of all, let's identify what are our units. What's our A? What's our B? Hey,
The A are the bricklayers.
did you have breakfast this morning?
Yeah.
Oh,
And the B's are.
the same. You must be awfully hungry.
What?
Well, keep raising your hand. You must be very hungry.
And the B.
I smoked
And the B is the days.
Okay,
I know.
so A is the bricklayers and B is the days. Those are the two units that we're working with here, right? A and B, bricklayers, days. So we go and we identify, where are our brick layers? We got 4 of them there and 10 of them there. Which is more, which is less?
10. 10
No, what?
bricklayers.
Sorry?
10 bricklayers.
Is
More.
more, right? There's our more. There's our less. Now we look for our second value, the days. We got 5 days here, and then how many days there? Now here's where you gotta apply a little bit of logic. If 4 bricklayers takes 5 days for them to build the wall, is the amount of time that 10 bricklayers take going to be more or less than that? Less, because you have more people helping, right? As one value goes up, the number of bricklayers go up, the time it takes to build goes down. Inverse proportion, right? So this is going to be our more, and this is going to be our less. Go ahead and set this up. Set up the proportion yourself. Doesn't matter which way you do it. The first way or the second way. But see if you can put everything in the right spot. Nolan, did you use method 1 or 2?
I used 2.
2? Peyton, what about you?
2.
2? All right. No, give me the first half of your proportion.
What do you mean by that? Oh, okay,
Like
so,
the first fraction.
okay. So I had 10 over 4.
Okay, and this time we'll use B and like bricklayers for B, or I guess it's A. That's kind of confusing. But, okay, so you put 10 bricklayers over 4 bricklayers. Okay, so more over less, right? More of A over less of B. Hayden, what's your second half there?
I have 5B over N.
Okay, 5 days over N days, or D days, I suppose would make sense there, right? You may have set it up a different way, which is okay, but either way that you do it, if you did it correctly, you are multiplying 5 and 4 and dividing by 10. Right? Which is what, right? The answer you should get is 2. 5 times 4 divided by 10 equals 20 divided by 10, which equals 2. Okay? You didn't have to set up your proportion exactly the way that Nolan and Peyton did, but if you did it correctly, you're multiplying 5 and 4. You might have the 4 here and the 5 there. That's okay. The math is the same after that. Right? 4 technicians complete a job in 8 days. How many technicians are needed to complete the same work in 16 days? So, same idea, but different phrased question. We're solving for a different part of the proportion. Let's start with what are our 2 values? What do we got here, Peyton?
You got the 4 technicians and then the how many technicians.
All right. So technicians and how many technicians? Is the 4 the more or is the 4 the less? If 4 technicians complete a job in 8 days, you want to know how many technicians will complete the same work in 16 days. Right?
The 4 technicians would be more.
The 4 technicians will be more. Right? Because fewer people will take longer. Right? 4 in 8 days. If it takes 16 days, and for the same amount of work, that's why it's important here, same work, okay, it's going to be less people working on it. So 4 technicians is the more. How many technicians is the less? In our second part, we have 16 days and 8 days. Which is more, which is less? Nolan?
16 days and more.
Yes, that one's kind of the... Okay.
Fine, take it.
More and less. Go ahead and set this up. Go ahead and set this up. Look at all these people. We might have having to share this thing. Yeah. Josie, what'd you set up here?
I did 16 days over 8 days.
Okay, so she started with the days here. More over less. 16 days over 8 days equals?
4 technicians over 9.
Okay, so more days over less days equals more technicians over less technicians. Right? You might have it set up differently. Maybe you put your technicians as the A and the days as the B. Right? Maybe you flip these over. You've got them aligned differently. If you did it correctly, though, your 4 and your 8 should be diagonal. So that when you use cross products, you're multiplying 8 and 4, and you're dividing by 16. Okay? If you have your 8 and your 4 aligned vertically, or your 8 and your 4 aligned horizontally, so they're not diagonal, your mistake was you combined a more with a less. Right? You put more over less. Those things can't be vertically unless the units are the same, which they aren't. Okay? Before we get to the answer, any questions on if everyone's willing to share what they set up, and I can walk you through what error was made? Anybody? Because all in the setup, right? You all know cross products. Okay, it's all in the setup here. All right. What do we get? Well,
2.
You get 2. 8 times 4 is 32. Divide that by 16. 32 divided by 16 is 2. Okay? Questions on that? Yes, sir.
No, I don't have a question. I just have.
You just want to raise
For
your
the
hand.
next
For
The
the
next one.
Yeah,
Look at you. Did you compare your answer with your partner there?
He looked at me.
He kind of
Oh.
cheated out.
No, I did the calculator. You looked at the calculator.
Well, that's my calculator. So.
All right. Let's look at the next one. 7 campers put up a tent in 45 minutes. If 3 campers leave, how many minutes would it take to put up a tent that is the same size? The wording here gets a little bit tricky again. Okay? But let's start. What are our units? What are we working with? Josie. So are they together though? No. So you have the 7 campers, right? 7 campers. And then it says here if 3 campers leave, which means how many campers are going to be there to put up the tent? Nolan?
3.
No.
Wait, what was the question?
If 3 campers leave,
Yeah.
how many campers will be remaining to put up the tent?
Less? I don't know.
Mia?
Wait, 4.
4, right? If you start with 7 and 3 campers leave, that means there are 4 campers left. Okay? These questions need to be read carefully. In math, there's the tendency, and maybe this is learned at an earlier age, I don't know, where whenever you have a word problem, just look for the numbers, right? Just look for the numbers. If you just look for the numbers, you'll be using 7 and 3 in your proportion. But that's not what you want to use, because 3 campers aren't putting up the tent. You start with 7, but then 3 leave, that means there are 4 campers left to put up the tent. Okay? But campers and campers are units. Which one's more, which one's less?
Oh, wait.
No one? Redemption?
Okay, 7 is more and 3 is less.
Yes, 7 is more and what's less?
4.
3. Wait, no, 4.
4. Just get rid of that so you can't even see it. Okay? Don't, so you're not confused there. Okay? 7 is more, 4 is less. All right? And then what's our second set of units here?
The N, how many minutes is more, and then the 45 is less.
Okay, so we have minutes and minutes, right? Peyton says that the 45 minutes are going to be more. No. Other way around?
Yes.
The 45 minutes will be less, right? And the how many minutes is going to be the more. Why does that make sense? Josie? Right. If there are fewer people, it's going to take longer to do. Okay? If you haven't picked up on the pattern yet, in every set of information here, the first sentence contains a more and a less. The second sentence contains a less and a more. You're not going to get the more and the more in the same statement. That would be a direct proportion. Okay? So if you're having trouble figuring out which one's more, which one's less, just remember, every kind of statement will have a more and it'll have a less. Maybe not be in that order, right? But it'll have a more, it'll have a less. So let's set this up. Let's do campers over campers. So more campers over less campers equals more time over less time. Okay? You may have set it up differently. You'll know that you are correct as long as these are diagonal. If you are multiplying 7 by 45 and dividing by 4, you've done it correctly. Okay? Gregory, did you do the calculation?
Yeah.
What is 7 times 45 divided by 4?
78.
Sorry?
78.75.
78.75?
Yep.
The question is how many minutes?
Oh.
So let's practice. Let's convert this to time. Okay, so we can say it's 1 hour, 18 minutes. But I'm more concerned. That's correct. I'm more concerned with that 0.75 though. Does that mean 78 minutes and 75 seconds? No, it does not. Right? We've down this road before with that decimal of time. How many seconds is 0.75?
Like a minute and 25 seconds.
A minute.
Yeah.
It's gonna be less.
75 seconds is a minute.
I don't know.
60s
45.
and 60s.
Yeah. Oh no, 15 seconds.
No.
No, oh wait. 5 is a minute though.
No, it's not.
No,
It's
wait,
6
75 seconds is a minute.
No, more than a
Yeah,
minute.
it's-
I it's more than a minute. Oh, but 15 seconds.
Okay, so this 0.75. What is 0.75 as a fraction?
A minute?
What is 0.75 as a fraction?
Oh,
75.
This is
Oh, over
a
100.
friendly
Over 100.
denominator.
over 100?
Okay, and what is
75?
75/100 simplified be?
A 4?
3/4. Okay, so this is the same as 78 3/4 of a minute. Anthony, what is 3/4 of a minute?
75.
Oh
It's
my
75%,
god. Oh my
75%.
god. Look at the time.
All right, second answer just past 12. Let's watch it. Here we go. Tell me when it's a fourth of the way around. Okay? It's coming up on the 2. Tell me when it's a fourth of the way around.
No.
Now, right? It's a fourth of the way around. So
Oh.
from 12 to 3 is a fourth. From 12 to 6 is 2/4 or a half. From 12 to 9 would be 3/4. How many seconds is it from 12 to 9?
Me.
Anthony!
Please, bro. Me.
How many seconds is it for the second hand to get from 12 to 9?
Bro, pick me.
No, this is all you, man.
No, bro. Please.
How many seconds is it for the second hand to get from the 12 all the way around to the 9?
Bro.
25.
That's from the 12 to the 5.
That's the second hand though.
Hell no, Regan. 45 seconds. Okay? 78 minutes, 45 seconds. There are 60 seconds in a minute.
Who's winning?
3/4 of 60 is 45.
Who's winning?
15.
Wait, 75 seconds.
Yes, Anthony, but this is not 75 seconds. When you get a decimal with time, it's not minutes and seconds. It's whole minutes and a part of another minute. Okay, that's the biggest mistake that happens with time in math is that folks think that 78.75 is 78 minutes, 75 seconds. That's not how it works. 78 whole minutes and 0.75 or 3/4 of another minute. So it's 45 seconds. Okay? All right. Your homework for tomorrow
What?
The entire bag.
is the entirety of the second page. You've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them to do. Pay attention to the wording. What's your more? What's your less? There's another. There are things in here. 2 workers build a canoe in 9 days. 2 others will help them. Right? So how many workers are there total? Yellow. Yes. Yep, he'll be down in a couple of minutes. Yep, right? So pay attention to the wording, okay, when you set up these more or less proportions. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, comments, congratulations, or criticisms? Yes.
Who won the waffle?
I think we have a 3-way tie between you and Nolan and Josie. Josie, would you like a part of the waffle fry?
Yes.
Peyton, would you like a part of the waffle fry?
Yeah.
Nolan, would you like a part of the waffle fry?
Yes.
All right.
You guys get sick.
All right, that's how you math, folks.
16 hours.